So, senses is what I decided to call my body of work. The name is not really set in stone. However, I think this is the most accurate way to describe the body without having to force the viewer to come into this way of thinking. So, this is like the best name that I've come up with so far. So, that's why I've kind of stuck with it. Senses is kind of like my experience and response to losing my sense of taste and smell with COVID. So when I first started thinking about my what I wanted to do for my body, I was really just in the experimental phase where I was just kind of like throwing ideas together, seeing what I could take and get from it. So this is a previous work I did for a class assignment. It was cultures of something, and I chose culture of nostalgia. And for this piece, these like three objects specifically, I had chosen the experience of when my uncle used to take us to Dunkin' Donuts or River City Donuts to eat there. And I had created these food items because we were supposed to go into maybe the realm of realistic. So I had created these food items. Of course, I got them glazed and fired. Of course, I don't have professional pictures as you could see on the right. So when I had first created this, I remember bringing it into some an individual meeting. Of course, this feels like really literal, but at the time, it kind of made the most sense because of what I was thinking of approaching. Because I was seeing what stuck and what didn't, and this for me personally had seemed to deeply resonate with me, and it stuck. And this is something that I was like, this could be I could make this more. So that's what I had walked into it as. Then I have instances where I had constantly like was trying the flavor of clay because it's like looks so soft and like edible when it's not. So this is a video of me giving into that temptation and just taking a bite out of it. As you can see, there's the bite mark. What really made me like I had tried like a little lick of it one time from the bucket. The bucket is like the where all the recycled clay goes. So I had taken a lick of it and I was like, that kind of tastes gross, but it's kind of cool. So I remember going into one of our critiques in our ceramics class, and this girl had made hers was also like childish nostalgia for those three. It was the same project, the three items project, and she had made a McDonald's burger that she had taken a bite out of, and me seeing that made me want to try it. So I did. This was me like some leftover like trimmings I had from a project. So I just decided to like take a bite out of it for funsies. And you could see my teeth marks here. And um, I don't know, that's where it kind of started, like the idea of it. That's where like everything had become implanted was having that food, taking a bite out of it, and then thinking about my experience with my COVID and losing my taste and smell, and how losing your taste and smell becomes kind of like it's like strange in a way because you can never imagine losing that sense until you have lost it. The way I was like thinking about it, like when I first got those like test results is um like I had lost something, and it kind of made me think of how I know this might seem insensitive and I'm not trying to make it seem like insensitive, but this is like my way of thinking was like how when people try to say like what's it like to be blind, and the person responds like what's it like to see out of your elbow, and it's like you can't imagine it but you try to like grasp onto something to imagine it. So that's kind of like what I had been dealing with, was this like out of body experience of like trying to grasp it now that you kind of have the feeling of what it's like to lose it. So that's when I oops so that's when I finally settled on actually like trying to put something forward, because for so long I had been trying to make sketches and trying to do like everything like trying to like fathom a way to describe it, because that's because that was kind of like a little bit of my point, was trying to like describe it, because I felt like maybe if I could somehow describe it and convey it, like that would like work. So like I would try to like, I was basically shooting in the dark. I was trying to grasp onto something, and I finally was like, you know what? What if I, instead of just trying to like grasp at like an idea that I cannot come up with at the moment, what if I had just, experienced it the way I experienced it? So that's when I was like, you know what? What if I ate clay? And you could kind of see where that earlier portion of me making fake food and me actually biting clay actually comes together. So I was like, what if I just experienced it the way I experienced it? So I had made a fake clay orange. I had went to one of my ceramics professors actually, and I was like, would it be bad if I ate the clay? And of course he's like, no, like, it contains minerals and it's not too out of like the norm. It's not going to kill you. So I was like, if it's not going to kill me, might as well do it. So when I was creating this orange, I was paying attention to details of an orange. So like the pores, the bumpiness, the roughness, and I was trying to replicate like the fruity inside meant like part of the orange where like the actual fruit that you eat. And as I was designing it, I got a little bit better at it towards the end of the orange slices. As you could see here, I'm not sure if you could see my mouse pointer, but here was my first attempt, which was just like, small like divots. And then here is my last attempt where I got like really into the divots and like perfected it. And I had scored the orange rinds deeply to where I almost sat at the like through it, so that when I could peel it like an orange, that it would, peel. It would have some give. So these are kind of like I didn't forgot to take really nice pictures of the orange beforehand. So these are the pictures I have now. If I were to do anything different now, I think I would actually use a little setup where they have the lights and everything to take pictures of it before and after, like proper professional photos, I guess you could say. But I think this works for now because of like how it's still in the experimental stage. So here's a close-up of like after I had recorded the video of me chewing it and spitting it out. I would show the video, but it's sort of long. Um, but I will include a link somewhere to where you could see the actual full video. But this is what it looked like in depth, like after like, the gnarliness of having to chew it and stuff. You can see all the detail here. So chewing that orange kind of like brought me back into what it was like to not be able to like when you like not being able to taste, but knowing that you're eating something, like especially something disgusting, was kind of like it brought me back, because I remember when I was like in the action of eating it, that I had was like, this is kind of gross, but at the same time, it's kind of nostalgic in a way where I could not taste anything at all before I got some of it back. So that was kind of interesting. And then here's the aftermath of like the when it was still fresh, and it hadn't dried yet. So the experience of chewing and eating clay like this, I found that it was very interesting because the clay, it's recycled clay, so like everyone's touched it at one point, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like gross in its own way. But like when people think of ceramics, I know a lot of people think this, they think of like crafts, like not really fine art. And I know during our final critiques that Jesse and Michael had said that, like clay is looked at as craft, but like to take this material, this fine art material, and to disrupt it the way you did, it kind of adds that meaning. And for me personally, I think that's like a way to argue against the word craft when it comes to ceramics, because when I think of crafts personally, I think of crafts as the product, the ending product of it has to be nice, pretty, finished, like a mug, like something functional. Well, I'm not saying all functional wear is craft, but it's the idea of it having to be like almost flawless in the end that makes people think of a craft. So me purposely disrupting it in the way that I did, I feel like it's arguably art because it's not meant to be like functional in a way. But that's not saying that functional wear can't be art either. And that's the end of what my statement, my proposal actually. So I think if I were to make another piece for the series, I really wanted to focus on another food-based item, but I wanted to focus it in the soft form known as slip. Slip is basically like if you were to get like, I guess you could say like mud, you know how it's like soft, squishy, malleable. I wanted to work with that and of course make a slab of clay and use the slip in my mouth and to form shapes out of it and to build onto it. It might take a little bit longer because of the moisture content from the slip, but that's something I wanted to do as like for um mint chocolate chip because I know that's like a comfort food for me. And even though it doesn't taste the same as it used to, for me, it personally now tastes like toothpaste. Like I could see where people who don't like mint chocolate chip come from now. Um, but it's kind of that what I started diving into was like habits because I had a conversation with my mother when she had visited, and I learned that she has only taste when she lost her smell and taste to COVID. So I get to talk to her about it and share that experience with her. But I never knew the extent of it until I actually talked to her that everything smells and tastes like onions and garlic. Like everything, unfortunately. I don't think there's any safe foods for her because that's all she could smell or taste. It's foods, drinks, desserts, even like body washes and things that would be with hygiene and stuff like that. So that's where we kind of like I learned that while I have it bad, others have it worse, unfortunately. And that's what we had bonded over. And that's when I realized that it had become like almost like I'm not sure if I'm using the word right, but habitual eating. Like it's just habit. You eat just to eat at that point. It's not to really enjoy it. My mother always used to be a coffee person. So like I remember as a kid, every morning she would get up, she would have a coffee pot going, and then she would take it to go, and whatever was left, we got to have. So hearing that she could not enjoy coffee the way she used to anymore kind of was like a wake up almost. And that's why she still drinks coffee even though it doesn't taste right or smell right to her anymore. I think she can maybe smell a little bit coffee, but it's not like the best. It's like I think she described it as like a 10% ish where she can kind of like imagine it but not like truly get that scent. So that's where I started toying with the idea of habits and eating just to eat. And that's something that I wanted to explore with my next work, which is the slab and slip using mouth. Um, so, yes, this concludes my video proposal and hopefully the proposal for the next work that I am working on. Thank you.